Hello Unigame fan, very late with this as usual, but among the bigger releases of May were some hidden gems of interest, all spread across a nice variety of genres, so there's something for everyone, and do watch out for a key drop in one of these. Let's begin with Rise Eterna, a long-anticipated tactics RPG title set in the classic backdrop of war and chaos. There are 14 playable characters, a darker and more mature world, and plenty of customization and upgrade systems. While it does look great in terms of both the hand-drawn and pixel art, there are some justifiable complaints about the game. That is to say, it isn't perfect but might be of interest to fans of the genre. Broken Universe Tower Defense is a cartoony entry which looks fantastic, where you're blasting aliens via towers on different planets. This is an amazing style of tower defense rather than placing your towers along a fixed path, where there are some innovations with regards to moving barriers, which keeps things interesting. I believe it's from a non-native English-speaking developer, so there are some rough translation bits, but a decent start in early access. A title that I missed during the week of release is the generic sounding Cloud Cutter, a vertical shoot-'em-up title with a modern military setting. I do enjoy shoot-'em-ups, hence ever so often one catches my eye, where this game happened to be in the right spot at the right time. It's similar to Skyforce if you played that, in that it's quite a classically designed game and will be for fans of the genre. Happy to share that the rhythm action-adventure game Boy Beats World makes the list, since I enjoy rhythm games, and it's especially great when such elements are incorporated into genres outside of the core experience. It has you using the power of music, attacking, dodging and blocking to the beat in order to liberate humanity from their robot overseers. While the pixel art isn't the most eye-catching, there's something here in terms of the gameplay and mechanics, and it's a title that I would encourage you to try. Speaking of which, here's the Steam key, so fastest fingers first. A smaller Zelda-style action-adventure game from last month is Retro Machina, one that, from the look and action, does give me a little bit of a Bastion vibe. Play as a little robot who is deemed to have malfunctioned, traversing through the city and battling against robots who now deem you as a threat in order to get repaired and perhaps uncover the mystery as to what happened to the humans who live there. One of the most stylish titles of May is Aerial Knights Never Yield, a runner game where you play as a man who has uncovered evidence that can change his city forever, having to continually outrun your enemies as you seek to expose the truth. While the runner-style gameplay is a little bit played out, the slick visuals and most importantly, the kick-ass soundtrack are the main draws, so get into the groove with this.
Bringing it back in full effect to the next. Running with the best, never missing a step. From the east to the west, I stay fresh, I finesse, I progress with no stress. In and out the city, I get busy, they can't get me, I can't be stopped. I'm on top 100%, I'm giving it all I got. It's on lock, I'm gon' rock. let's roll. They know, rain, snow, nothing gonna get in the way. I just go. Just go. Just go.
Fate, woven into the very essence of this world. Every step, a challenge, as these lands weren't spun for you. And while the wings of your friends carry you across the tangle of threads, I gaze upon you with a watchful eye. I see your bravery. Your craftiness. And ingenuity. But you can't reweave fate.
Weaving Tides was a title that I've been looking forward to, a very pleasant looking game where the weaving mechanic is front and center. As you explore the world, solve its puzzles and unravel the mysteries, your carpet dragon will be a constant companion by your side. Beautiful visuals and clever puzzles are hampered a little by the combat, which isn't fantastic and is perhaps not needed, but a title of interest for sure.
I see in your dreams your deep desire to find others like you. Will you grasp the threads and reweave your story? Or will you dream on?
This game was a nice surprise since I expected a classic Zelda-style action-adventure experience from Mayhem in Sickle Valley, but what I did get was a twist on the idea. Play as a young man who is about to leave his hometown for college, but radioactive waste in the water has been turning animals and people into zombies, so it is up to you to save the day, although you may have been the one to cause it in the first place. It generally has you being the powerless regular guy rather than a hero of legend, where you can die in one hit and have to use everyday objects to your advantage, giving it quite a different feel. Interesting look as well with the 2D sprites and 3D environments, which makes it of interest. A decent action platformer with a wonderful hand-drawn art style is The Company Man, one that comes to us from a Malaysian developer, so Southeast Asia represents. Literally battle the corporate machine and bosses as you climb the corporate ladder of success. There's all sorts of references and plays on concepts and ideas that will be familiar to any office worker, from endless emails to the power of coffee, which makes this a very well put together package. One of the more interesting entries of the month is Ascension, a 2D freeform shoot-'em-up title which adds some elements of Metroidvanias. Instead of being level-based, you're exploring a continuous world where there are boss fights and even unlocks that will allow you to access new areas. Why I say that it only has Metroidvania elements rather than being a full-on Metroidvania comes down to semantics, where some people might argue that games in the genre must be side-scrolling platformers, but putting technicalities aside, this is a fun game that you should check out. The minimalist art style might take a while to get used to, but I do see the simple beauty in it, and with a nice variety of enemies, weapons, biomes, and even terrain to be used as cover, it should please fans of the genre with something a little different in the space.
Intruder. You're outnumbered and outgunned. There is no escape. Bring it on.
If you love retro first-person shooters, a no-brainer pick is Viscera Fest, one where you play as a mutant mercenary hunting down an intergalactic warlock in order to claim the bounty on his head. It's super fast-paced, as expected for a game paying tribute to the classics, mixing both melee and ranged combat very nicely. It's currently in early access with the first out of 3 chapters of the campaign implemented, and since launch has already had its first patch, which is always a good sign. If you enjoy tactics titles, The Hand of Merlin would be one to watch, mixing Arthurian legend with sci-fi horror, so colour me intrigued. Medieval weaponry like swords and bows mixed with magic versus aliens and eldritch monsters is interesting, almost like Tainted Grail crossed with Phoenix Point. Your party of 3 adventurers have to cross dangerous lands, going from node to node on the overworld map, where the roguelike structure does mean challenging difficulty, but soul stones gathered do allow you to permanently increase in power and will be retained even if defeated. Another great first step in early access, it does feel surprisingly polished, so do not be afraid to jump in. One of the long in development titles that made it to launch in May is The Wild at Heart, where 2 precocious kids find themselves in the deep woods, leading a small troop of spritlings as they seek to combat an ancient Stygian evil. Fans of Pikmin will be familiar with the gameplay, where it's about using the little creatures to solve puzzles and also to fight in combat. It has one of the most gorgeous hand-drawn art styles, making it not to be missed. If you enjoy city building titles, Distant Kingdoms would be one to watch, set in a classic high fantasy world where humans, orcs, elves and dwarves coexist. You're building an entire kingdom with a network of towns and villages, having to upgrade and maintain balance and harmony between all of them. If you played the Majesty games, this will be familiar, where there's also an adventuring and questing element as well. Do note that the early access nature of this does show, with some complaints of bugs and lack of content, so perhaps one to watch for now, but the potential certainly is there.
Hello, boys and girls.
I do enjoy the work of developer Red Black Spade, having made the underrated Metroidvania Cat Maze, but to be fair, it was a little stiffly animated. But when I came to know of their next project in Fearmonium, of course I was intrigued. Taking place in the mind of a teenage boy, play as a phobia stemming from the boy's fear of clowns, who wants to grow and supplant every other fear in the mind, where the setting and trippy mindscape is ripe for all sorts of weird environments and enemies. The hand-drawn art is great, which, combined with the Metroidvania structure, makes this a gem, taking the #1 spot. For more of the best indie games of the month, do check out this playlist and I will see you after the jump.